Hi guys, it's Miss Tracy and I am coming to you from my home office. All of the rooms in my house are occupied right now by college students doing online work. So I am in the back office and I've got some things up to help us along today to talk about this week's J18. So we're going to be working on letter J and number 18. A packet was sent to you. I think Miss Lori sent it out last Thursday that I put together. And it has some of the items from the week before that we missed, Transportation Week. It has 3 really cute crafts. There's the school bus, which would have you as the driver, and then 3 or 4 of your friends. And little pictures should have accompanied that. And then you also have the hot air balloon, which is put together like a puzzle. And then you also have the train. So those were the 3 crafts that we were going to be featuring that week. There's also some worksheets that you can do, beginning letter sounds, ending sounds. There's patterning. There's sorting into land, sea, and land, sea, air. And then there's just working on sounding out transportation words and number of syllables, things of that nature. I didn't include everything because that was a really, really busy week. We had a lot of dramatic play type things we were going to do, like a pretend airplane ride, which I've saved the items for that in the event that we come back anytime soon. But I did put some key stuff in there that you can work at your own pace on. If you have any questions or you want to show me your work, you could just send me a video, a picture, or send me a text or an email. This week, though, we are working on J, which is kind of our lead-in to Easter, being that we'll be working on like Jesus and jelly beans, kind of a little tie-in there. So anyway, today I want to begin with our usual Monday activity, which is introducing the letter and the number, and then doing our letter story of the week and our word wall. We are going to be doing an abbreviated version of that, so not quite as long. Also, we'll be working on our sight word he. Last week was we, plural. This week is he, which has to be male to be a he, but we'll talk about that further as the week goes on. Also, our Bible verse this week, which is on your calendar that I put in the packets just as a reminder, is Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, which basically means Jesus is unchanging, and we'll be touching on that every day as well. I did put some Easter stickers in with your packet for this week, so as you do your papers every day, yourself or mom and dad, if they check it, can go ahead and give yourself a sweet little bunny sticker or something to do with Easter. And let's see if there's anything else we should touch on. Just so you know, our 3 crafts this week, which we usually do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, is Jesus, and you'll see it's Jesus on water. There'll also be let's see, I believe it goes to Giant Jam Sandwich, which is a literacy craft. It'll go with the Giant Jam Sandwich story. And then on Thursday is the jelly bean jar. So these 3 crafts are pretty, honestly, pretty easy peasy, especially the jelly bean jar. It might be fun once you put your jelly beans in the jar to count them out for me. And let me know how many you put in there. You do not have to use all of them that I put to cut out. And you don't have to necessarily use every color. Okay, it's just like jar and jelly beans are great J words. Okay, and that kind of leads us into Easter. Also, you will have coming up during Easter week a jelly bean graphing sheet. So if you do have some jelly beans at home, save some for our graphing activity. I didn't want to go ahead and put jelly beans in the mail, so just looking forward on that. So this week, let's talk a little bit about the worksheet that you would be doing tabletop for me on Monday. They're good introduction. Your worksheet would be a J on one side, 18 on the other. Okay. So the worksheet I am referring to has a Jack-in-the-Box, which is kind of an old-timey toy that we still have around today, where you crank the side and he pops up, usually pretty scary. We have some lowercase J's for tracing, some uppercase J's, and then alternating. And then at the very bottom, as you know, we have you try a little on your own. couple things to point out. Lowercase j is going to start in the middle on your dotted line. It's going to go down underground and hook. So you're going to go past the bottom line, which is we consider going down underground. And then you're going to give it a dot above, okay? But your lowercase j has to cross that bottom line, and also it shouldn't start any higher than halfway. Your uppercase j is going to touch the top and bottom lines. You're always going to form it top to bottom, and you're going to come down and give it a little hook. Now, you will see in print your capital J with and without a topper or a hat. Miss Tracy likes to put a hat on hers, so I would probably have a little cross at the top similar to a T. Okay, you're going to see it both ways when you see it in writing, okay? So that's your tracing activity, and again, you're going to alternate a little A-B pattern down at the bottom so that I can see it, see how we're doing for the introduction. And then your second sheet, which will be on the back of that one for you, is the 18, okay? Top to bottom one with an 8 that starts like an S, okay? Don't give me snowmen. You know snowmen is the circle, circle. I want it to have that S and up through the middle, okay? You should not be picking up your writing instrument to make this 8, okay? Here, you're going to trace. You're going to start just getting used to that curve. Top to bottom line for your 1. You're going to go ahead and trace the 18 twice. Please note the space in between, okay? You got to have the space between these two sets of numbers. At the bottom, you have your dots for guide, and you're going to do it 3 times. 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8, okay? Please remember, no snowmen. S, and then up through the middle, okay? Keeping in mind your spacing, all right? Let me show you over here what I'm talking about. I've already wrote some of the J's in the 18s. I'm going to move you a little bit, okay? Bring you in a little. All right. Let me get my handy dandy here. So if you look over here, okay, you'll see where it starts at the top and it comes down in hooks, and then I like to put the top on, okay? The lowercase is going to start in the middle and go down underground with a dot above. Now, I apologize for the messy handwriting. This sheet is actually on the back of my Murphy bed door, which is not flat. So I've got a little bit of a bumpy surface I'm working with, okay? Another thing to point out with the 18. All right, if you look right here, I've written it twice. I also have an arrow here pointing out the space in between. So 18 space 18. If you look over this way, I have written out 18 if it's too close. Okay, I've done it twice. You'll see it right here, 1818. Without having that space in between, this actually reads 1818. Okay, and that is not the number we're working on. We are working on 18. The 2-finger space in between is imperative, okay? Now, also on Monday, we read our letter story of the week. In this case, it's called I Am Jolly Jogger. Like we always do, if you could pay attention to the words that have the beginning sound of J, which is J. Okay? J, J, jolly. J, J, jogger. All right? In this case, Jolly is a first name. But most of the time, you're going to use jolly as a description word, someone who's happy. Okay? So let me show you the title. This is our cover. I am, you'll notice, sight words. I am Jolly Jogger. All right, listen for those J sounds. I pre-written some of the words I heard in the story up here, but you be thinking about the ones you're hearing in our story, okay? Think about our setting, think about our characters. All right, here we go. away in a jungle, jumping with animals, lived Jolly Jogger. Jolly was one of the fastest joggers in all the land, and she jogged through the jungle many times a day. Jolly always wore a jacket when she jogged, and she liked to collect junk from the jungle, and she put it into her jacket pockets. Jolly liked to juggle too. She could juggle her junk and jog at the same time. The jungle creatures loved to see her jogging by and juggling. One day, while Jolly was jogging in the jungle, she heard something. Ja-ja-ja-ja-ja. Ja-ja-ja-ja-ja. Well, what could that be? The sound became louder and louder as she jogged along. Ja-ja-ja-ja-ja. Ja-ja-ja-ja-ja. She seemed to be getting closer and closer to the sound when finally she saw an old deserted Jeep. The sound was coming from the Jeep. Jolly peeked inside the Jeep and saw a jaguar. He was trapped inside and he could not free himself. He looked so frightened and helpless. As he squirmed around, he made this sound. Well, Jolly said to the jaguar, "Just a minute, Mr. Jaguar. I can get you out." Well, she jiggled, jerked, and jumped. And then she jiggled, jerked, and jumped again on the old Jeep. She loosened the jaguar from its trap. You could see the joy in the jaguar's eyes. He was so happy to be free again. Well, Jolly and the jaguar jogged along together through the jungle. Jolly told the jaguar jokes to impress him and did her juggling. When Jolly and the jaguar got into Jolly's house, they drank juice from a jug. And the jaguar thanked Jolly, and he jumped back into the jungle. All right, guys, did you hear a lot of J sounds? J, j, j. Well, the first one I heard is in the title, Jolly. And again, this is her name, but I think of it as a really happy person. And jogger. And if you don't know what a jogger is, it is someone who runs at a pace and for some distance. Okay? You probably see people running around in your neighborhood. Another thing that caught my attention is where the story took place. In the jungle. That's right, the jungle. So I wrote that on our board as well. Now, Jolly Jogger was in the jungle. She was wearing what part of clothing? We wouldn't be wearing it right now because our weather is far too sunny right now for this. But if I was to live where it was a little bit cooler, I would be wearing a jacket. A jacket. And she put what in her pockets? Do you remember? Junk. Junk was in her pockets. If you remember too, she was walking along the jungle. She kept hearing the j-j-j-j sound, which originally I thought might have been the broken down Jeep, but it wasn't. It was the animal trapped inside, which was called a jaguar. Well, the jaguar didn't think he could get free, but Jolly came to his rescue, and if you remember, she jiggled it. She jumped, right? And she jerked, which is just quick motions to get the jaguar free. Now, they built up a lot of thirst. And if you're really thirsty, you could have water, but you could also ask for some juice. So they had some juice, and then it sounds like the jaguar wanted to jump back into the jungle. It's probably where his mom and dad was and his friends. So those were some of the J sounds that I heard in our story. Another good one that you guys like to do is tell a lot of jokes. So as she was walking the jaguar back, she was telling jokes and juggling. Doesn't say how many things she was juggling, but at least she could do at least 2, right? So if you look over here on our board, you'll see where I wrote some words down. I wrote jolly, jogger, jungle, jaguar, jeep, joke, juggling, juice, and jacket. But I added 2 more. My very favorite J word, Jesus. Jesus needs to be on here with a capital J because that's a name. And another capital J, one of my favorites, comes from our classroom, which is Joshua. Sorry, Joshua, I was thinking biblically at the time. Joshua. So, we have Jesus and Joshua at the bottom as names. Now, if you start thinking, like we usually do, about foods and shapes and people we know, you might know a Jack, you might know a Jenny, you might know a Jessica, right? We could start putting those names down here as well. Maybe you'll think of something I like to spread on toast, like jelly and jam. Just start thinking of all of the things, maybe toys that you have, right? Colors. These are the things we go through every day when we're starting to make our word wall. So if you can add to my list, make sure you send me a message and we'll get it up there, okay? Now, before I leave you today, okay, because we will be doing another little video tomorrow, another short story, but then going into some different things. Make sure you practice with your magic finger. A capital J, a lowercase j, okay, the top to bottom of a 1, and then the S shape and through the middle of an 8 to make that 18. Try counting out some items in your house that'll equal 18, okay? Other than that, guys, I think that's a good first start. You know our Monday activities. We usually do Play-Doh, where we're forming the letter with our hands, cutting out some Play-Doh shapes that start with J, like jellyfish, always a good one. Or how about jewelry? Another favorite of mine. I'm wearing earrings. I think that counts. We also would start working towards our sight words again, reviewing, okay? Make sure you're looking for those sight words while you're reading books during the day and at night. Pausing to sound them out, making your own sentences, okay? We should be up to we, and then tomorrow you should be working on the sheet for he, which we'll talk about then. He would just replace a male name, for instance, instead of saying, Peyton likes to do crafts, I could say he likes to do crafts. Or instead of saying, Joshua likes to run really fast, I could say he likes to run really fast. Easton likes the color green, he likes the color green. Nathaniel loves race cars, he loves race cars, okay? It's going to replace that male name. All right. Okay, don't forget, top to bottom, left to right, every time you're writing. I can't wait to see those worksheets. I hope you guys are staying safe and being happy. I have been, we'll say, hanging out with my kids who are home, working out, getting their dorm items from other states. So I'm doing my own kind of map work right now and geography lessons that I didn't want to be doing. Playing with all my animals. I'm hoping that we can do a time on Zoom where we can all bring together a show and tell item, whether it be an animal, a toy, or something special in your house while you're actually in your house. Remember to have great behavior, guys, for your parents. Try to have as much fun as possible. And I can't wait to see you guys. I hope it's sooner than later. We miss you guys a lot, and we can't wait to have you back in the classroom. All right? Lots of love.